We continue now with Alfred Lord Tennyson. We have talked about several things so far, but before we go on with what I had suggested, I would like to tell you about one more thing. When my father, Franklin G. Wolfson, died, he had on the card that was handed out to people at his funeral something from Alfred Lord Tennyson. It was called Crossing the Bar. Crossing the Bar was uh, what he had written on the inside of that card for everyone else to read. So I will read you that now because, of course, it has special meaning for me. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me. And may there be no morning at the bar when I put out to sea. But sure as tide and moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, then that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and the evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness or farewell when I embark. Although from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. Indeed, quite a powerful poem to use on my father's death card. And you will also notice that Tennyson himself wrote that explaining the pilot that the divine and the unseen who is always guiding us. So in that you see my father's idea of having that put on there, I imagine, had a lot to do with his own idea that throughout his life, his God, his unseen pilot, was always with him. And so naturally, he would be with him when he crossed the bar, but though he was unseen in this life, in the next life where my father is now, he would see him face to face. Sample of how Tennyson poetry can be extremely, extremely important. Now also we talked about Enoch Arden and how Richard Strauss set the music to it. And part of what he did there, of course, was to imitate the leitmotif of Richard Wagner, as I explained before. Well, so that's a connection between Tennyson and Wagner through the composer Strauss. But in fact, there is another connection, because you see, Tennyson also wrote a poem. You will see here what it's called. The poem, The Holy Grail. And this poem is about the Holy Grail, and we will talk about that a little more in just a moment.